Hi there, here we are again. It's Paul in Perth. I've got good old chassis 18, but I do have the bonnet of chassis 17, so she's still with us. That's actually her in the background. She hasn't been picked up quite yet. Now, we're going to address one of the really common issues with the BL Mazda 3, which is to do with the ABS light coming on the dash, and a series of errors that come up. You'll get an ABS error light. You'll get a car with two skid marks lights. And right now, I'll put a picture-in-picture to show you what your dash would look like when you've got that error. And I'll give you another picture-in-picture to show you what the error codes are when you get those errors. That's when you look on an OBD2 scanner. All right, so that's the errors. Now, let's have a look at how we would go about fixing that. So now we know we've got the problem, and we've looked at the errors. We've diagnosed that it's to do with our ABS module. The ABS module sits up against the firewall in here behind the battery box, and there are several different models of ABS module, and we need to work out which one we've got. So the first thing we need to do is remove this battery box. Alright, so now we're going to remove this battery box. Now before I do, I just want to point out this car has been in an accident that has bent the whole front end this way. So this corner here, instead of being at 90 degrees like this, it's actually more like at 85 degrees, just because of the accident that this car had. So your car is not going to look exactly like my car, but I reckon you're smart enough to work it out, okay? I'll just point out, I have had to remove the bottom of my air filter box just because there was too many broken parts in the way it was obscuring. You obviously will have a air filter box there. So the first thing to do is remove the top of the battery box. So there you go, that's the first part of the job done. The next thing you want to do is remove this strap that holds down the top of the battery. It's a 10 mil, so if you just knock off these little 10 mil nuts here, you'll find that this retaining strap comes off, so that's out. The next thing to do is remove the battery. Now, I want you to just loosen off the negative and the positive, get those terminals off, put them out to the side, and you should be able to lift out the battery. So that's now out. Now, what you've got to get out next is the base of this battery box. The front pulls up and out. So with that, you can just pull it up and out. And if you look down there, you'll see that there's three 10 mil bolts. Can you see these three 10 mil bolts here? Okay, so those need to come out. So grab your 10 mil. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now if I tried to lift this out now, I'd find that there's the electrics over here that are holding in the ECU would get in the way. So I need to take the top off the ECU cover, and I need to unplug this ECU. This ECU is engine control unit, in case you don't know. It's sometimes called an ECM, an engine control module. If you stick a flathead in under the white bar, I need my little spectacles for this, you'll find you can pop that up, and if you do the same on the back one, you'll find you can pop that one up there. You don't need to take note of which one fits where, because they only fit on one place, okay? So you can just pop them out to the side with no fear that you're actually going to get it wrong, because you actually can't get that one wrong, okay? Now, I know from experience that on a car that's straight, you have a lot of trouble with the battery box hitting this hitting basically this sill of the firewall here. Because my car is bent, I don't know whether I'm going to have a harder time, easier time, or equal time as you, but I know normally this back corner is quite a very tight fit past this sill here. But my car's bent and yours isn't, so we'll just see how mine goes. I've just noticed, okay, I need a little trim tool, because I can see down in the bottom here, that little plastic thing is in there, so I think we're all clear now. So I should be able to lift this up. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just for simplicity, I'm going to remove this front panel. I'm not convinced whether you have to or not, but I know that if I do, it's going to be easier, and it'll certainly give you a better view. So let's do that. Come on, baby. All right, so we've taken the front panel out. Like I said, I'm not sure if you have to or not, but it only took 30 seconds, so you might as well. It certainly is going to make the job a bit easier. And now I should find that I can lift the bottom of the battery box up and out. Okay, so that has come up and out. Now I went forward lip up and out. I have it on other cars had to go back lip up and out, but one way or the other, you have to get that battery, the bottom of the battery box out, and that's the battery box out. We'll now head to the next part of the video. All right, and now we've got the battery box out. So as you'd remember, the first thing we need to do with the ABS module is find out which model we've got. So if you come a bit closer, you can see here that this one is, what do we got? It's, oh, there we go. There it is there. So this is is that 8V61-2C405-AG. Now, just to be really clear, that there is the part number of the pump. So the pump is this black cylinder here. The silver block there is the solenoid block. And the ABS module is actually that computer module there that this computer plug is plugged into. So what you know at this point is you know the part number of your pump, but what you need to replace is the ABS module. The trouble is, as you can see, if you look at this little triangular area here, the two part, or actually it's a bit further back. What you'll see is they have, in the factory, they have crimped those two parts together. So there is no way to only replace the pump or only replace the module. You have to replace the pump and module because they've been bonded together in the factory. And the part number you've just worked out is the part number of the pump, but what you need, the part that's failed is actually the module. But the two will almost always relate to each other. And once we get this out, I'll show you on the back of the module where the part number is. But for the time being, the next step for you need to do one of three things, I think. You either need to go to a wrecker and find one that's the same part number of pump and buy it, or you need to remove yours, send it to a reconditioning company, and I'll put the name of a reconditioning company down in the comments because there is one in Australia that is very good. They don't sponsor me, but I will put their name down in the comments. So you would send your failed unit off to them and they would fix it and send it back to you and you'd reinstall it. Your other option is pretty much to buy a brand new one from Mazda, and you will fall out of your tree when you see how much these things are new. So I think those are your three options. So what were they? They were buy one from a wrecker, get yours reconditioned, or buy one brand new. Yeah, those are your options, okay? So for now, we'll move on. So the next step is you need to choose one of those options. The next step in this video was meant to be that I was going to show you how to gracefully remove the ABS unit, the ABS module and, pump and module from the car in such a way that it wouldn't damage it, so that I can show you how to do the next part of the job. But two things have happened in the meantime. One is someone from Queensland has contacted me and wants to buy the ABS module, and that means I need to pack it to be able to send it in the mail. And as you can see, I've cut the brake lines, and in fact, I've also cut the harness because I need to protect the plugs while it's in transit. So that means I haven't been able to make you a video to show you how to gracefully remove this. Partially because this guy wants it and I don't have a camera person here to film it. I'm doing this on my own without a camera person. The other is, if you've been following the rest of my videos, I have cancer, and in the next week or so, I'm going to find out exactly what it is. There's a very, very fair chance that it's terminal, and that means I'm not going to have a complete chance to make final videos that show you the whole task. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to talk you through how I got it to that point there, okay? So I might just rearrange the camera so it's on a low angle, and I'll talk you through how we got to this point, okay? So the very first thing that I needed to do was to bleed the brakes because I didn't want to, if I didn't bleed the brakes, then when I broke the brake line circuit, I was going to have brake fluid go everywhere. So there's going to be plenty of videos on the internet to do with how to bleed brakes, but very briefly what I did was I jacked one of the rear wheels up, took the rear wheel off, I located the bleed nipple, and it was a 10 mil. It's a 10 mil spanner on the bleed nipple. I prefer if you use a crow's foot, and I'll show you why shortly. And because I have a couple of scrap cars here, I actually grabbed this is actually a windscreen wiper line that I used. I put one end onto the brake bleed nipple. I put the other end into this jar here, and then I just pumped the brakes so that I was just pumping the brake fluid through. That's how much brake fluid I ended up getting. It's a little bit less than I thought I'd get, but maybe the car was a little bit low on brake fluid. The colour of the brake fluid is good, so I don't think there was anything especially wrong with the car. So at that point, I had brake fluid out. The next thing that I needed to do was to cut the brake lines. Now, you do not do this. I did it because I need these little ends of the brake lines to, firstly, I need to keep a little bit of brake fluid inside the unit so that the solenoids don't get air inside them. The other thing is I don't want dust and dirt and anything else to get in there. The easiest way for me to do that is to leave the ends of the brake lines on, but crimp them in a vise. So I have crimped those in a vise. What you need to do, instead of actually, with me cutting with a bolt cutter, you need to get a 10 mil crow's foot spanner, and you need to put them onto the lines, and you need to crack each line and correctly get them out. Now, I'm not sure how tight these are. I'll have a go. There you go. Okay. So they do just roll out just like you think. Okay. So they look like that. So you can see that there is a flare on the end. You can see the line has a flared end, and then you've got a flare nut, and then that's the brake line that goes off. Okay. All of them are a 10 mil. Now, I just want to sell the case for the 10 mil crow's foot to you. This is a standard versus a crow's foot, okay? The difference is the amount of purchase that you get on it. And how do I explain this? If you were to use a 10 mil on it, you're only actually pushing on two sides, on two of the corners of the hex nut. And it becomes relatively easy, if you need to use a lot of force, that you'll actually round off that nut. Whereas if you compare that to a crow's foot, the crow's foot is designed with a huge amount of contact with the nut, so that when you're pushing, instead of just pushing onto one face of the nut, you're pushing onto at least 3, if not 4 faces of the nut. And you certainly get a lot more purchase. If you look at that there, that is holding on its own weight. Whereas if you compare it to this, well, it very almost falls off, okay? I have to very carefully put it on to get it to stay on, otherwise it will just fall off, right? So that just shows you that the crow's foot has a lot more purchase than the standard. So you've drained the brake fluid, you've used your crow's feet, you've disconnected these. The next thing you're going to do is disconnect this electrical connector here. Now I'll just stand up for this. The way you do that is, if you look here, there's 2 push tabs. So if you push them in, you'll find, actually I'll show you side on. If you push these 2 things in, you'll find that this center part pulls up. Okay, so you can see that is a lever, and then once you've levered it up, that thing comes off. Now, the reason that I cut them when I'm sending these parts in the post is I need to protect these pins from getting damaged in the postal service. And the easiest way for me to stop them getting damaged in the post is to send them like that, because then I know that the pins absolutely cannot get damaged while they're in the mail. I know they're going to arrive safe and sound. The receiver is going to remove this plug and throw it in the bin, but it's done its job. So its job is there to be protective. Okay. This job I would term as the 10 mil job. The bracket that is on the bottom of this unit when you first take it is on with 3 10mm bolts, and the mounting bolt at the front that I think goes through there is 10mm. So everything about this job is a 10 mil, okay? So essentially what I want you to do is I want you to remove that without using bolt cutters, and I want you to remove these without using bolt cutters. At that point, you've got the unit out. So then you've either got to get a replacement part at a wrecker, get yours reconditioned at a reconditioner, or buy a brand new one from Mazda. Oh, wait, now I didn't show you something really important, and that's the part number. Now remember we talked about how this is actually the part number of the pump, okay? So in my case, the part number was 8V61-2C405-AG, but as I indicated before, that's the pump part number, not the module part number. Now check out what's on the back, okay? Now you can read it, I can't because it's facing away from me, but you'll notice there is a completely different part number there, and also that it's a Ford part number. I will do a picture-in-picture of that at the end. I'm going to put a whole heap of photos of this at the end of this clip to show you that. But that's just to demonstrate to you that what people are quoting is the pump part number, but the part that's actually failed is the module, and the module actually has a completely different part number. The likelihood is, though, that whatever part number is here will correspond to a manufacturing moment in time that matches the back one as well. So if you get that one right, you're probably also getting the back one right as well. So I hope that's helped. That's because of my situation with cancer and everything. That's probably all I'm going to be able to do on the ABS module and pump. So I hope that's helped. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment. I am feeling the love from you guys to do with my videos, also to do with my journey with cancer. So stay cool from Paul in Perth. All right. See you later. Bye.